Wait, did you know that Nolan Wales' friend Bart said I handed the cops a witness list and everything else? But this part was not clarified correctly online. A new TMZ headline is making waves in the Nolan Wales investigation. Shocking, TMZ. It reads, just like that, Nolan Wales' friend Bart, I handed cops a witness list and everything else. At first glance, that headline sounds explosive, right? It almost sounds like Bart Edmiston handed the police a list of potential witnesses who know exactly what happened to Nolan Wales. But is that actually what the article says? Or is that the headline creating an impression that goes beyond the facts? Today, we're going to separate the headline from the story because headlines are designed to get clicks. We all know that. Evidence is designed, however, to find the truth in the clicks. This remains an investigation, and no one has been charged with a crime in connection with Nolan Wales' death as of yet. But everyone involved has closed down their social media accounts. Throughout this episode, we'll distinguish and confirm facts, family statements, and speculation. We'll be discussing all those things. Please remember to like, follow, share, and comment below. Welcome to Money in Politics Simplified. I'm Esco Latimer. The Nolan Wales investigation continues to receive national attention. Now, TMZ has published new information based on a statement released by Bart's family. The article has already generated debate online. But after reading the entire article, I think there's an important lesson about modern journalism that everyone kind of knows already. Sometimes the headline tells one story while the article tells a completely different one. And as always, let's simplify what TMZ tried to complicate. So either fast forward to my simplified section of this podcast or just pop some popcorn and enjoy the show, folks. The headline reads, I handed cops a witness list with everything else. That immediately grabs your attention. It grabbed mine, to be honest with you. If you're like most readers, you might assume Bart turned over witnesses who knew something about Nolan Wales' disappearance, or probably even his death. That's the impression many people could reasonably take away from the TMZ article. But that's not actually what the article says. When you continue reading, you discover the statement released through Bart's family says something different, much more limited than that. According to the family, Bart voluntarily cooperated with investigators. He sat for interviews, answered questions, shared his recollection of July the 4th, provided access to his phone. We do not know if anything was deleted before he did give them the access. That is to be determined. Provided photos and videos, allowed investigators to inspect his boat, allowed them to examine his GPS device, and compiled a witness list. This is where it gets important. What kind of witness list was it? That's where the headline and the story begin to diverge. According to the family statement, the witness list included passengers on Bart's own boat. The family also says they believe more than 20 people across two boats witnessed Bart helping another vessel that had mechanical trouble near Horn Island. But according to the new audio, why would someone be screaming at Bart if he was actually helping them while allegedly Nolan was dying at the same time on the boat? He was helping. And why hasn't any of those witnesses spoken up as of yet? Specifically, they say witnesses could verify that Bart boarded the disabled boat, removed the transform plug, and briefly towed it so the accumulated water could drain. That's important. He towed the boat. In other words, according to the family statement, the witnesses supports Bart's account of his own actions during the boat rescue. The statement does not say these witnesses saw what happened to Nolan. It does not say they identified a suspect. It does not say they implicated anyone else. That's an important distinction because, again, we can tell by the call Nolan was there and Bart was there as well at the same time. When you read the entire statement, it comes clear. Bart's family is trying to establish that he has cooperated fully from the beginning. According to the statement, he sat for interviews, answered investigators' questions, voluntarily turned over evidence, gave investigators access to his electronic devices, and helped identify people who could verify where he was and what he was doing at that time. The family is also emphatically denying online rumors that Bart killed Nolan, witnessed his death, or helped conceal it. Those denials come in response to increasing online accusations and reported threats against Bart and his family. Family's attorney, Russell Latino, says Bart has received death threats. It's amazing how the victim is now all of the people who were potentially there when Nolan was dying, but not the actual person who died. According to the statement, the family has also been doxxed. That means their information has been spread around. They allege someone posted their home address, land records, employment information, and other personal details online. The family says they're working with the FBI, the Mississippi Attorney General's office, the U.S. Attorney's office, and local enforcement regarding alleged cyberstalking and threats. Sounds like they have more help than Nolan's dead body has already. If these allegations are true, they highlight another serious issue. Online speculation can quickly escalate into real-world consequences. Regardless of how strongly someone feels about this case, threats and harassment are never appropriate substitute for evidence. But that's our society, and their claims are distracting from the case that Nolan died. So let's stay focused right here on that and not some cyberbullying concerns. We have bigger issues to focus on here. Nolan Wales died. By this new statement, many important questions remain unanswered. We still don't know exactly what happened to Nolan on that tragic day after he supposedly separated from some of his allegedly friends. What the final toxicology results will show, whether the independent autopsy findings will ultimately align with the state's conclusion. I'm wondering they're going to bump heads. What investigators could conclude after reviewing all available evidence. The witness list discussed by Bart's family doesn't answer those questions at all. It addresses Bart's own activities. It does not explain Nolan's death, so it kind of clears Bart in a way. And it seems like that's what the family's trying to do. This story reminds us why it is so important to read beyond the headline. A headline has one job, get your attention, and this one did just that. Sometimes that means emphasize the most dramatic wording available, but journalism should ultimately be judged by the accuracy of the entire story, not just its title. They know most people don't read. In this case, someone reading online and just reading the headline might reasonably believe Bart turned over witnesses who have direct knowledge of Nolan's death. That's what I got out of it. Reading the full article paints a more limited picture, though. The witness list appears to support Bart's account of assisting a disabled boat, not to identify what happened to Nolan. That's a meaningful distinction. One thing both families appear to have in common in this whole debacle, they say they want the truth. Nolan's family has repeatedly said they simply want answers about what happened to their son. You know, that crazy thing like justice, not more justice or less justice, the same amount any other mother would receive regardless of race. Bart's family says they also want a thorough, fair, and impartial investigation. But what took them so long to come forward? Those goals are not inconsistent. The investigation on social media is ongoing and should determine what happened on July the 4th. If additional evidence implicates someone, law enforcement should act. Mississippi does not have a good relationship with its Black American constituents. Those are facts. If evidence clears individuals who have been accused online, that also deserves equal attention. Justice requires following evidence wherever it leads and clearing all those who are innocent. This is my simplified section of this segment. Here's where we're going to talk about today's development and what it actually tells us. According to Bart's family, he cooperated extensively with investigators. He provided access to his devices. He answered questions, and he compiled a witness list more than anyone else. But based on the public statement, that witness list appears to intended to verify Bart's own actions during the disabled boat rescue. It does not publicly identify witnesses to Nolan's death. It does not implicate another individual. And it does not answer the central question in this case. What happened to Nolan Wells? Bart was towing the boat. We know that to be true. Nolan seems to be on that boat while Bart was there. We can hear that on the audio. So how would Bart not know Nolan was dying according to the audio? Again, we're basing this off the audio that we've heard. Personally, I think the story is a reminder that we all have a responsibility to slow down before jumping to conclusions. But hear me out. We cannot also ignore public evidence either. I also think some media outlets could do a better job ensuring headlines accurately reflect the substance of their reporting. TMZ's headline certainly grabs attention, and it reflects that Bart says he handed police a witness list. But without reading the article in its entirety, some readers could mistakenly assume the list contains witnesses to Nolan's death or identifies other suspects. But it doesn't. Based on the article itself, that isn't what is being described. That's why it's important to read the entire story before forming conclusions, everyone. At the same time, no one should be convicted in the court of public opinion because we would all be guilty. If someone has evidence, give it to the investigators. If someone has questions, ask them respectfully in the Facebook threads and online. And if someone is accused, remember that accusations are not proof. Justice isn't served by rumors or gossip. It's served by verifiable facts. What do you think? Should news organizations be held to a higher standard when writing headlines in active criminal investigations? Do you think this headline accurately reflects the story? Or does it create an impression that goes beyond what the article actually says? And lastly, but most importantly, does it seem that Bart might be building a case for a plea? Let me know in the comments. I'm Esco Latimer. Please remember to like, follow, share, and comment below. This is Money in Politics Simplified. Stay informed, stay engaged, because when you understand the facts of the TMZ article, well, my friends, you understand the politics. Have a good day.
Esco Latimer. Talking money. Talking power. Follow the paper and you find a throne. Deals in the back while the cameras roll.